Welcome, Ghosts, back to Bullet Catcher Gaming. Today's video, I've got a really special one. A friend of the channel, a very special guest, and that is Ghost Island Thunder. Thank you so much for joining, bud. Really appreciate this. The point of this video is simply to try and highlight the fact that there is a survey out there. We have pushed the survey to a certain extent. The survey is all about the next game. It's quite lengthy. It takes about 10 minutes to complete. The link for that is going to be in the description below. And we thought it would be fun we're going to show you all the questions in the background, so you can have a look and see what kind of questions there are. But we thought we'd go through some. I wanted to see if I could get Ghost Island's opinion on some of these questions. We're not going to do every single one because it could just take forever. But I want to see what his opinions are on some of the more important aspects of what's within this survey. So, like I said, big thanks, buddy, for jumping on. Really appreciate it.
Yo, thanks for having me, man. It's good to be here.
No, it's cool to have you back on, bud. So we're just going to get straight into it. And, you know, I'm just going to say one more thing. Like, it's so important that I get that people might not want to spend 10 minutes filling out a survey. But honestly, it's so important that we can get this information together and sent over. If we don't try, you know, when the next game comes out, if there are things not in there, we might kind of regret not pushing the survey harder. We want to try and tell Ubisoft this is what you guys want in the game. So I'm going to go with the very first question because I think it's an important one. And it's basically talking about one of Breakpoint's failures that we believe has been the studio's lack of honest, transparent and regular communication with the fan base. Especially when it comes to, say, new content and bugs. So with that in mind, the opening question is, do you feel that there is currently a lack of regular communication from the studio, and especially during Breakpoint's run? So the options were strongly agree, and you could either obviously neither agree or disagree, or strongly disagree. Just roughly, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, well, that's an easy one right out of the gate here. That's a strongly disagree. Or sorry, that's a strongly agree for me. We all know, guys, all of us. We've been here. We all know that the communication's been lacking. So definitely, if they can potentially give us better communication moving forward from the beginning, right from the start, it'll allow players to manage their expectations. And that's the most important thing, really, when it comes to communication. It's about managing expectations of your audience. It's about building hype, which Ubisoft seems to not like to build hype until, a few days before, and then kind of just watch the fire consume everything. But so, yeah, definitely strongly agree. We need better communication from the get-go and throughout the entire lifespan of whatever the next title is. So 100%.
There's a follow-on to that, which I'll ask you as well. So how do you think they should go about kind of putting the communication out there, and how regularly would you like to see, like fortnightly updates, monthly? How often do you think, because I don't think there's any issues with them having some kind of update, or just, to say, by the way, we're aware of these bugs and we're going to fix them, or whatever,
Honestly, I think monthly would be a nice, clean thing to aim at. It's not too taxing on them. It's not, it's nothing too far stretched for us. So I think a month between each update is more than welcome. Of course, they can sprinkle in some minor updates. Say they got like a maintenance this day, or they're putting up a little temporary event this day. They may want to put up a little update here and there. But I mean, I think maybe a tweet that just has an image with text that explains everything that's coming, or even a Reddit post, or a blog post actually on the official website, and then they can just cross post all these things on all the platforms, cover everyone's bases, and I think that's just the best way to go about it. Because I think more than 1 month updates would be a little taxing, and then it would just end up being like, I don't see Ghost Recon needing weekly updates either. It's not really like that. It's not a game where we have weekly challenges that refresh each week, where we need to kind of get like updates, or like, for example, Halo Reach, like they update the store once a week. I believe it's once a week or once every couple of weeks, and then they obviously do an update to share that with people. So I mean, I think a month apart We'll allow them to cover the larger things as well as the smaller things, and then of course they can sprinkle in some updates in between. So that's where I stand on that.
No, that makes complete sense, to be honest. So I'm going to jump into a different subject now. So, in terms of a new game, do you want to see a kind of futuristic fantasy sci-fi cosmetics added in game? So the options that we went with were: do you want to stick to realistic military clothing and gear only? Kind of realistic with minimal amounts of fantasy cosmetics, mostly kind of fantasy cosmetics, or kind of fantasy only with no real world clothing or equipment, or do you want a mix of kind of all of it?
I would, you know what? May have to just repeat that question there.
So
Sorry,
effectively,
I don't know if you want to cut
yeah,
that or not.
no, it's all cool. So effectively, what kind of cosmetics would you like to see in the game? Do you want to stick to kind of real world cosmetics, or are you okay with like fantasy style cosmetics? You know, like there was, in Breakpoint there was like Terminator cosmetics and things like that. Stuff that's not necessarily real world. Do you want to see the game stick to real world, or do you want to see? Are you okay with fantasy elements being within the game?
Well, I mean, I guess for me that goes as far as what the military is currently working on. Like, if they have some future programs and systems that they're working on that they want to incorporate, because the Ghosts have always been known for having that future, slightly future ahead of their enemy tech that no one else had, which would give them that slight edge. Like, for example, we had like the Land Warrior thing in Ghost Recon 2 and Gra. So something along those lines. Like, but if we're moving into the future, those things are kind of they're not really used anymore. Obviously, they've been dropped now, so it's not necessarily some experimental tech that still exists now, and that's where we're at now. I'd say with the optical camo, so they might bring that back. I feel like they've established that now. I think players do enjoy it, or at least half of the players do. So if they do bring back future stuff, I mean, if they want to bring some of that future soldier flair and give us that fucking that invisible cloak, that cloaking, then they could do that. But in terms of gear itself, when we're talking about actual gear and like customization, then I'm all for realistic gear, like actual pieces that exist. If they can get the license for it, if they're able to do that, then I would totally want that over like fake items that we have. I mean, if they have to, which I totally get, they'll probably need to. They might need a nice balance of fictional and real gear, as long as the real gear is just fucking done right. Because there's a lot of like issues, especially in the chest rigs and all that stuff, with what they've done with Breakpoint. And yeah, so just more variability in the helmets as well. Like we just need actual real gear. So I'm full on for that real gear. But again, if they need to sprinkle in some fictional stuff, stuff that's based on real items, and sure, whatever. But in terms of giving us like, I don't know, like robotic suits and like futuristic fake stuff like that, I'm not really that, like, I don't want to go that far with it. You know what I mean? So yeah, as long as we get real gear, and I'll be sold on that.
No, that's
And
awesome.
and one thing too is that, say they can't do that because of licensing, but they do open up mod support, which I know might be a question. Then they could totally, the modding community would then be able to create those licensed gear items that they don't necessarily have the legal means of putting it in the game themselves. So maybe the modding community can take that over, and
Mod
maybe modding will come to consoles, not like just PC. So we'll see.
Modding could revolutionize the game, to be honest.
Oh,
Keep
100%.
more people involved. It's definitely something.
Well, they gave us basically light modding tools with the parameters and all the settings that we can choose from anyway, right? So that was kind of a form of that, but not necessarily real modding, obviously. Just it's like the most basic light version of modding. Modding light is what we were given, those parameters. If we can extend that, actual modding, be able to download things that people have created, I'm all for that too.
Didn't Fallout at one point, when it suddenly started charging for every mod that was made, didn't they start suddenly trying to make money out of it?
Oh God, oh, I wouldn't doubt Bethesda doing that, man.
Yeah, I'm sure they
But I
did.
haven't paid too much attention to it, to be honest.
Yeah, and
But
this,
I could see Ubisoft definitely monetizing mods, those fuckers, man.
yeah, I could see that happening, 100%.
You might want to bleep that out.
Yeah, no, we're all good, man. You can have whatever opinions you want.
All right.
So, okay, this is a really simplistic yes or no. Should using enemy clothing and equipment give you a detection buff. So effectively, because one thing that frustrates me, and this is why we put this question in, is that when you're in a vehicle or an enemy vehicle, or you wear enemy clothing or whatever, they always see you regardless. You know, you can drive through a base and they see you, and they shouldn't. That's my personal opinion. If you're driving one of their vehicles, they shouldn't automatically detect you. That's what I think.
No, of course not. Unless there's like a slight range where it's like, oh, you're right in front of them. They can look through the windshield and notice you. Like, unless it's something like that, you know? But my thoughts, if that's a feature, hell yeah, if they can do that. I would actually make that fall under the category of not being the most important thing I would want. But I mean, if they could include it, then they can. Because I know once you reach a thing where we start to come up with all these little ideas, then it starts to really blow up, and then they may not be able to cover every single little thing. But in my opinion, sure, if they can pull it off, then by all means, man. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard really either. Just make the detection toned down for certain events rather than making it always be the same. Rather than having a blanket mechanic that is just constantly fucking there, they should separate it up and divvy up those mechanics based on what the situation is. Like if I'm hiding in an enemy vehicle and I'm trying to get out of a thing, I'm pretty sure Wildlands had this. You had to get into I think a garbage truck to get into like one of these mechanic shop areas. I don't know. I'm sure someone will correct me here if they can remember, but there was a mission where you had to steal a truck and use it to get in, and then you could actually get out with that same truck and not detect the base. Pretty sure it was like one of the stealth missions. So, I mean, if they could add that as a main feature, hell yeah.
And of course, the enemy bases in Wildlands, a lot of the enemy bases, you couldn't get in unless you were driving one of their vehicles.
Right? There you go. Yeah, because the gates would lock, right? And then they're like censored. That's correct. Yeah. And it also adds to that as well.
This is a second part to this question. So do you think should the clothing and equipment that you're wearing help you hide from the enemy? So, effectively a detection buff based on what you're wearing and the environment you're in.
Hell yeah, for sure. Yo, 100%. Like, this is what everyone wants. Like, if this question's on this questionnaire, which I know it is, obviously, everyone's saying yes to that. I think people want that. If I'm wearing a ghillie suit and I'm laying down in grass, I should not be seen from a mile away. If I'm spotted, I should be able to be hidden. And sure, they have that when you go into a bush, but I mean, like, I don't know. It's one of those blanket features that shouldn't be just across everything. It should be something that's like based on specific things. So if I'm wearing specific gear, then yeah, that should affect things. I mean, they did it with like the fucking echelon boots. They made it where your detection while walking is less. So if they can apply that to more gear, like say I'm wearing a helmet, I can take a fucking bullet to my head from the side if it hits me on the side. I don't know if they'll ever get that deep with it, but I mean, if I'm wearing all black in the night, I don't know if that can add some sort of buff to my stealth, or if I'm wearing a ghillie suit, or if I'm wearing snow camo in the snow, or whatever it is, like if they can make it where you're less detected on that front, then I'm down.
Well, I agree, because it's like common sense. If you were wearing a jungle camo walking through the snow, and you're wearing snow camo walking through the snow, we all know which one you're going to be easier to be spotted in. So surely you should have a detection buff based on what you're wearing.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Common sense. So next question that I'm going to ask you is, should things like the weight of your equipment affect your stamina and mobility, but provide you possibly with different levels of ballistic protection?
Yes. So I know Insurgency Sandstorm kind of has that, where you can, like do light armor, move a little faster, carry less gear. You know what I mean? So I mean, yeah, if they make it so it's like, I'm wearing heavy armor, my character's not going to move as hard, but I mean, he can take a few extra shots, then I'm all down for that. And what else? 100%. Yeah.
Okay. So this one's an interesting one, because we've had it to a certain extent maybe in Wildlands. So should the enemy have their own elite special forces unit? Now, I know some people say the wolves already were. I don't really. I don't see them, and in the lore, they're not tier 1 operators or ex tier 1 operators anyway. Do you think the enemy should have somewhere on the map, so you don't necessarily always know where they are, They might only be in certain locations, and they're much more elite than just them hanging around in bases. It might be just a 4-man team sent after you, and they are ridiculously good or something like that. They use thermal vision. They've got night vision. They're more tactically advanced. Kind of similar to Fallen Ghosts, the guys in Fallen Ghosts, perhaps, along those lines. Do you think that's a yes or a no?
Yeah. If we're doing like an open world Ghost Recon game, and they need to have like a unit that's around there too, kind of like similar like the Wolves or whatever, but obviously implemented better. If they need something like that, then 100% yes. If it is more of a linear, not so much linear, but if it's more of like a smaller maps, like sandboxes, different levels, then perhaps they would appear throughout the storyline in certain segments. If we have like a mission creator, perhaps we could spawn them. So yeah, if they can have different tiered units, but not separate them in like basic, like heavy with a chain gun and a fucking bomb disposal suit. Here's a guy with a rocket launcher backpack and he shoots rockets. Like, I don't want that separation. I don't want enemy types that are just kind of basic separations. I would want like just more standard infantry, standard snipers, just basic stuff like that. So if they can have like a tier 1 type unit that's fighting against you, or some sort of spec ops, a higher grade enemy, then I'm all for it.
Okay, cool. So would you like to see enemies that could place booby traps, things like trip flares, mines, IEDs, things like that?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's one of the aspects I really actually enjoyed about Operation Motherland, is when they brought in the boat, they brought in the like the mines that were around some of the bases. You know what I'm talking about. So something like that. They kind of teased it a little bit. They show that they have the capacity to do that. But I think your question's more in line with, say there's a target, an enemy target down that road, and he spots me first, and he sees that I'm coming in a vehicle. He might lay down a C4 charge, and then all of a sudden, boom, you drive over and it explodes, and you're like, what the fuck? Where'd that come from? It's like, oh shit, the enemies are smart, man. They're laying down C4 charges ahead of my oncoming vehicle. So yeah, if they can pull that off too, by all means, I would love to see that. Maybe even IEDs or something like that, depending on the situation and the setting.
Because it would make driving vehicles a bit more interesting. You can't just keep driving your vehicles off-road everywhere. You've suddenly got to be aware of these IEDs.
Exactly, and fix the driving, all right? Actually, it's not that bad. You get used to it, but I mean, fix that a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely needs fixing.
That's 100%. A byproduct of the world design and how uneven everything is, and it's all mountains and nature and stuff. I don't know. But if they can tighten that up, then they can. I'll take that too.
Okay, so this one's an interesting one. So this one is regarding enemy alert statuses. Now, I personally think this one's really important because I don't like the way that the enemy alert status works in the game currently. Because you can attack a base, it can kick off a little bit, you can then run off for a little bit, come back, and they've all just kind of gone, oh yeah, those guys that are all dead, don't worry about them. We've all just gone back to what we were doing before. Like literally, you haven't even left the area and you've come back. You then walk across, like if you go to the region in the southeast area with all the farms, they're so close together. If you kick off at one farm and you're going loud, the others should be alerted. They've got radio communication, stuff like that. So this question is based around that. So, alert statuses should be. So we went through some options, but obviously if you've got another one. So we thought either place specific location to a red alert for a limited period only. So you have an alert status and then it's a bit like what it is now, and then it's gone after a certain amount of time. Place a specific location on red alert for a set amount of time, like a whole 24 hours, for example, whilst they're remanning they could be remanning it or whatever. Place a specific location on red alert and all other bases in the region you're in. So if you've hit one, the others will be on alert at least. They won't necessarily be ready at the total ready, but they'll be on alert and expecting you. Or place all bases in that region on red alert and the bordering regions into an amber state, or do you think that's too much?
Ooh, that's kind of interesting too, if it's like an open world thing, right? Like an amber state or whatever. They could do that. I mean, I would say, I think the second last option you mentioned, I believe, like it's like, say it's a province. Say we're talking provinces here. like the whole province being on lockdown, red alert. They're prepped for anything. Was that one of the options there?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm more in line with that. I would love to be in an area and then all of a sudden, oh, my stealth approach goes AWOL. Then you fucking, or I don't know if AWOL is the right word, but stealth approach goes bad, and then you take off that suppressor and you're going loud, and you got to work through whatever area you're in. And then yeah, if you try to leave, it's like, not too bad. There's already helos, there's already convoys coming in. You already have your own reinforcements coming in, because it wouldn't just be one guy on his own anymore. It wouldn't just be your squad of four. It would be like your multiple teams. If they can bring that back too, then it creates this larger warfare. And Ghost Recon's always been about, as much as it is now a stealth action shooter, which can be ramboed on your own, Ghost Recon is always about the team management. So having that larger scale reaction in the province you're fighting in, it invites more team play. It invites more squad play. So I think if they can incorporate that and bring back some of those older mechanics too, I think that would work really well with that. So that's where I stand on that.
Okay, cool. So next question. So should enemy bases be more open plan, more like they are in Breakpoint? They're definitely more open plan. There's not so much gated bases. Or would you like to see bases that are a bit more fortified, that have got like barbed wire, gates that like we mentioned earlier, that you need a relevant vehicle to get through? Or it could be that there's no doorways other than the main gate, and you have to you have to use a cutting tool. That's the only way in. There's no little sneaky side door or whatever. How would you like it? So kind of like all open plan, or kind of mostly
I think
more closed off, or a bit of, do you think we need a bit of both?
I think definitely a variation, and I think that means a bit of everything, a bit of both, right? We definitely need larger scale bases. We definitely need some more tighter, compact, maybe street level. Say we're in urban areas, we've got to clear fucking buildings that are tightly combined together. Perhaps there's bunkers built within those internals. Within those internal organs of those buildings. Like you reach a basement floor, you open a door, all of a sudden there's this little fucking machine gun nest bunker, and it's filled with targets, like whatever the enemy is. I don't know how they would set up, but yeah, totally. If we can have a mixed bag of variation of those two, then I'm totally down. Like there's that airfield base in Breakpoint, which is a nice open area, and it's fun to just work through. But also it's fun to go into, like, say, like in Wildlands. Wildlands to me had a great mixture of variation. Like you said, barbed wire wrapping around certain things. You got to move that. You got to move through it or around it. If they can do a thing like a mix of like the door breaching radio computer hacks that you got to do in Wildlands, where you got to breach in through those rooms, clear it within a certain amount of time, and hack a computer. If they can bring something like that back, but obviously more in depth, with better squad controls that allow you to breach in properly and stuff, then I'm all for it. A nice variation to me is preferred, and I really do like that variation that Wildlands offers. But again, I would love to see multiple countries, so variation aplenty for me.
No, that makes sense. Would you like to see more water-based locations? So things like ships for you to go and attack, or more harbours, or even some kind of underwater bases, perhaps?
Oh, yeah, that would be kind of interesting. Now, I mean, if they can't, if they have to spend all this development time working on the upstairs parts of the, like the outdoors, and they can't necessarily do any sort of underwater stuff because it's just due to constraints or whatever with development time, money, then I'm fine if they can't do it. If they can't do it, then sure, like say there's a specific mission where it's like, yo, you're doing like SEAL team style or whatever, and you got to dive in and go underwater and just do a little operation. Perhaps it's dismantling some sort of underground pipe for some greater event that's to come within the game storyline. So yeah, if they can do that 100%, I'd be down. Sounds fun, and it's different, right? Anything with variation, whether it be in the missions, whether it be in the locations, variation's good, I'd say. Whether it be linear, whether it be sandbox, whether it be open world, I think variation in styles, offering people a good, again, variation is much preferred. Sorry, I said variation 100 times.
No, it's cool. More options, basically. The more options you give us, the better the experience, I believe.
I need to come back, man. I'm talking way too much, guys. To all of you who are watching, I'm sorry I'm so chatty. But I don't know. It's up to Bullet Catcher. If you want me to keep it up, I'll keep it up.
No, just keep it up.
Down.
No, it's all good, right, man. Just keep talking. Talk as much as you want. Okay, next one. So I've gone through a few that were really interesting, but this one is unusual, but I think interesting. So Would you like to see the enemy actually use the trains in the next game? So we've had Wildlands Breakpoint. You can't do anything with the trains. They're just there to look pretty. Would you, if they had a train that you could get on, stop it, have some missions based on a train, whatever.
That'd be fun, man.
Yeah. What do you think? Yes or no?
Yes, 100%. Yo, like I said, like as many times as I said it, variation. If we're talking like a mission, like we see how repetitive certain missions get. Go to this base, clear it. Go to this base, hack this laptop. Go to this base, talk to this person. Go across the map, talk to this person. Go there, talk to this person. Blah blah blah. If they can give us quality missions, this is the fucking heist train mission, and you can replay it, and maybe it's generated in different ways. So say you might hit the train up in this area, or it's going through the snow area, and you got to hit it there. Like that might offer replayability for certain missions if they can have variation in how each mission plays out. Then yeah, I can totally, man. And again, if we're gonna have more of an emphasis on CQC combat, room clearing, things like that, then for sure missions where you gotta like go through a train and work your way through it could be so interesting and fun and unique. I don't think Ghost Recon's ever done that before. But even as Rainbow Six too, they can even take that idea for Rainbow Six, man. So yes, 100%.
Okay, no, that's cool. So I'm going to go through this. Is a bit. This might seem a bit weird, and some people go, "Oh, it's boring. Why are you discussing things like this?" But I actually think they're really important, and I think if you play the game a lot, you'll think that too. And obviously, you do. Building doors. So in Breakpoint, the doors aggravate me to a certain degree. Should they be more kind of non-existent, like Wildlands didn't really have doors most of the time? It was just you walked in.
It's just open air, like open buildings.
Yeah, open buildings effectively. Or should they be automated like Breakpoint? Or maybe biometric, like a bit like some of the doors in Breakpoint? Or normal doors that require like a button, so you just walk up and press them? Or perhaps normal doors that just completely normal doors that breaching mechanics can be used on any of them. So they're the kind of options we've gone for.
Yeah. Well, for sure, 100%. I'm going to say doors that are breachable. That way it offers gameplay there. But I mean, yeah, if you want to do some biometric scanning, so you're in a specific area, you're inside a building where maybe you shouldn't be, the ghost shouldn't be there, and they need to use some sort of biometric scanning. We're bringing in Sam Fisher style fucking work here. We're picking up dead bodies' hands and scanning them through doors and shit like that. So if they can incorporate things like that, that would be fun. Especially again for those CQC areas when you're working through like buildings, like even a fucking train, man. You might want to have a different type of door there. So yeah, you're going to have automatic doors. You're going to have these types of doors. But I think the main set of doors are, breachable doors. You can arm with C4. You can kick down. You can open slightly. You can peek under. You can do all those kind of things. So yeah, I really do hope they do that.
Okay, now
because Wildlands, the fact that they're open all the time, kind of boring. You can kind of see in. There's nothing mysterious or scary about it. You could just pre-drone everything. So yeah, definitely real doors we can breach in.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Even though I think Wildlands is more realistic in aesthetically in the world than Breakpoint is, you raised a good point there. That is totally unrealistic, isn't it? Nothing has a door on it. And it's crazy.
The ones that do have doors, you can't go in. It's just a face. It's like a facet.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like a lot of the ones in the towns and things like that. Yeah. So this one's an interesting one. Bit more kind of Rainbow Six Siege here. And this would have to have a whole new dynamic to the game if this was to work. But do you think we should be able to use frame charges to either kind of blow holes in building walls, even if they were just small ones, or perhaps use them or for doors, windows, things like that? Do you think, let's just say they made it possible. We know it's possible because there's games that we're using things like that 15 years ago.
100%. So basically what we're asking here is destructible fucking environments, really.
Effectively,
Effectively, yeah. So hell yeah, man. 100%. Yo, if I want to C4 blast an entire fucking wall and I want to move in, just completely just go fucking guns blazing, that'd be sick, man. That'd be so sick. Yeah, I'd be totally down for that.
Okay, that'd be cool.
Like, it doesn't always have to be Yeah, sorry. It doesn't always have to be like a clean approach through a door, right? Move nice and quiet, smoke first, then move in. It doesn't always have to be that way. Sometimes you want to go guns hot. Sometimes you want to catch that enemy by surprise when going fucking loud. So yeah, 100%.
Yeah, funnily enough, it was one of the follow-up questions to that was actually, would you like to see full destructive environment, a la kind of Bad Company? If anyone hasn't
Oh yeah.
played Bad Company, that, you know, there was none of this. You can't go that way. It was like, well, I am going that way because I'm going to blow this wall
Yeah.
down, and you just went wherever you wanted to go, basically.
Yeah, you could just be like, I'm in a fucking Abrams tank and I wanna go right over there. They're like, but there's a house there. Yeah, yeah, I'm just gonna go right through it, no problem. Hell yeah. I mean, I don't know if it would fare well in a Ghost Recon game, but who knows, man? This is where innovation comes from. When Ubisoft wants to innovate and do something different, then that's the kind of thing they got to do in terms of innovating. They got to allow for destructible environments, open it up. Just imagine all these factors playing well together. Squad control, tell them to go take cover by that rubble that you created. Hell yeah.
Absolutely. So, right. So, what type of grenades would you like to see in the next game? Now, we did a list. Now that we may have missed some, because
Oh yeah.
I don't think the selection of grenades is particularly great in Breakpoint. So we went with frag grenade, phosphorus grenade, multi bangs, CS gas grenade, strobe grenade for a distraction, smoke grenades, EMP grenades, distraction grenades, flashbangs, and thermobarbaric grenade.
Whoa, what a thermobarbaric grenade. That's kind of
Effectively,
cool.
they're just effective. They're also in a form of explosive grenade, the same as
Oh,
frag
okay.
and phosphorus. And then obviously, multi bangs are a distraction. CS gas would be classed as a distraction. Strobe a distraction. And then obviously
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
smoke grenade for cover. EMP grenades, I suppose you'd say, are distraction. And a distraction and flashbang would be a distraction grenade as well, I suppose.
Yeah.
Any of those that you think could be? Obviously, lots of the community have wanted smoke grenades for ages.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So to answer that, yeah, if they can bring in all those types, I'm 100% for it. I'm actually completely sure about wanting smoke grenades and flash grenades and obviously standard frag grenades. But yeah, if they can go a little one step further, they can give us the incendiary, they can give us the white phosphorus, they can give us the strobing flashes. Sure, whatever they got to do. But I think as long as they have flashes, smokes, and frags, those three main ones, I think those are the priorities. And then the rest, if they're able to, sure. And then as long as they don't separate these things by classes either, or like if I want a frag grenade and I'm a sniper, I want to use a frag grenade. I don't want it to be locked saying, oh, sorry, snipers don't get that. You know what I mean? Or like marksman, whatever.
Yeah,
So
100%. Yeah, I totally get what you're going with there. I'm going to go with an AI teammate question next. I've jumped a little bit further down the line. Would you like the ability to be able to pick which grenades, explosives, pretty much everything that your AI teammate currently has? Because obviously, at the moment, it's really just your weapon. Be able to
yeah,
completely customize everything that they carry with them.
yes. Because if someone say, "Hey, I don't want to micromanage my team that much. I don't want to deal with all that crap," then just ignore it. Your team will automatically select the best items for the job during your kit, during your loading out. So, say they bring back bivouacs things or something like a bivouac. Say it's like a head of operations where you spawn out from or whatever, a camp, whatever sort of thing, a military base, whatever it is. Perhaps just before you enter your operation, you get to select your kit, you get to select your items, your secondaries, all these things. And then it allows you to pick it for your team, or you can just say, based on recommendation, just go with, just auto select. So whatever it is again, as long as these are optional, then I don't see why they can't bring them all and make those again optional for everyone.
Okay, cool. Cheers, buddy. When it comes to mission structure, which of these two options would you prefer? Now, obviously, you might have your own option, but let's say that they go down a wildlands route and a breakpoint route, or one of the two. Would you prefer the wildlands style where you kind of work your way up from the bottom, you know, like the bottom of the food chain effectively, before you eventually go, you can't move up until you've taken this, then taken this, and effectively you then hit a main boss at the end of the game? Or would you prefer the breakpoint style where it kind of throws you straight in? Even the main boss is available if you really want to. You can do the missions in whatever order you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to have a narrative with it. You can just kind of do it as and when you want to do it. Which one do you think would you prefer?
Yeah, so you know what? I mean, if they're going the open world route and the game is being structured like Breakpoints and Wildlands, then sure. If they gotta figure out a way to, I guess, make the map meaningful, make the player have to work through something, then sure. If they want to do heads, say you're working through each province, each area first before you can unlock the next area, then that's cool. If they want to do the Wildlands way, that's fine. I just hope it's more of a. I would prefer actually to see more of a war scenario where, like, hey, this insurgent force is moving in on the capital of this country, and the ghosts are being deployed in there, and they need to fight back. But then the battle gets bigger, something big happens, some weapon of mass destruction enters chat from another area, and then you're like, oh shit, this is actually a lot bigger than we thought. Like the story, and it starts to expand, and it starts to expand to different countries or whatever. And then you're basically going on these different missions in these sandbox areas, and that's kind of what I'm picturing. But I mean, if it's going to be that Wildlands Breakpoint open world Ubisoft formula that they're always gung ho on doing now, it seems, then sure, make it similar to Wildlands, similar to Operation Motherland. It seemed to have boded well with the player base, with the fans. People seem to have liked it. I mean, I liked it. I mean, sure, I can nitpick, but I think overall I enjoyed that. So I mean, sure, if they got to do it, they got to do it. Whatever. We'll see, I guess. But yeah, I would really love for the thing to be more focused on a war. I want it to be a fucking war. So like you're just constantly pushing up through this area, and you're fighting battles that are meaningful. Like you got to take out artillery positions here, and then you get to advance through there. Maybe you got to take out this convoy over here, and just you're working through these areas. It's this constant battle. You're in a war. It's countries fighting in a war, and you got to go on these missions that only the ghosts are equipped to do. So something like that is how I'd like to see it. But sure, if they gotta go the Wildlands route because that's what they're capable of doing only, then sure, go ahead. Make it Operation Motherland 2.0, you know, expand on that idea.
No, completely makes sense. So on the previous survey that we did, it showed that providing crossovers kind of made sense. People didn't mind crossovers as long as they made sense with the storyline, and had like a credible missions that fans wouldn't mind with crossovers effectively. So, yeah. Like other Tom Clancy titles, things like that. So when we saw that, people were saying that they wouldn't mind if they were Tom Clancy related, which makes sense. So what we were asking is that what other ones could we use? So would people like to see Rainbow Six operators? It could be just normal Rainbow Six pre-Siege, or they could be Siege, of course.
No, it has to be pre-Siege, even though they probably won't.
No, probably won't, because they'll want to push Siege and all of the marketing with that. Third or fourth echelon operators from Splinter Cell, maybe some Hawks members.
Yes.
We even thought characters from the Jack Ryan series, effectively, or I know there's another TV series that's out there at the moment which I haven't seen. I think on Amazon. Do you think, would you want to see any of them, or would you just go with the not interested whatsoever in crossover events?
I would say fuck off to all crossovers that aren't Tom Clancy universe related, but it can't be the new Clancyverse that's been out there. It can't be this fucking unicorn paintball shooter like Siege is. Like, I don't want those operators. I want real Rainbow Six operator style, like the classic way. And yeah, I want to bring back the Hawks. Bring back Sam Fisher's fucking coming back, or whatever they're gonna do when it comes to the next game in the series. Not talking about the remake, because the remake would be Sam, but the next game might be his daughter Sarah. So who knows, man? And if they're going that way, then of course, if they're gonna do a Splinter Cell crossover, it'll probably have something to do with Sarah Fisher, which whatever. I mean, if that's where Splinter Cell's going, that's where it's going. And if they do want to incorporate Splinter Cell crossovers, then yes, sure, do it. But yeah, bring back Hawks, bring back like these things that they used to do. They used to have these interconnected things where certain units would come on. Like I was playing Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter the other week, sorry, and there's a mission where the Hawks come in chat. They come in on your crosscom and they say, all right, we got fire support here. We're going to give you fire support. And it's like, yo, that's sick. Like they need to do that again. And even in Splinter Cell, like there was I can't remember which mission it was now, but which game it was, but there was parts where, yeah, fucking the ghosts were there. You hear about them. So, I mean, if they can bring back that classic magic, bring it all back. This is what the people want. You can still figure out a way to monetize this shit if you have to, but just fucking bring it all back, man. Show that you care about these established lore, all this established lore that they're just forgetting. So we'll see. But
Well,
yeah, so no to crossovers that aren't related to TC. Like, I don't want to see Tomb Raider. I don't want to see fucking Terminators. I don't want to see Jason fucking Voorhees. I don't want to see any of that shit. Or sorry, Alien. Sorry, whatever. Just give me stuff that's within the universe, within the realm, something believable, and that's all I'm for right there.
well, I was actually just going to go on to the next question. It was about that, and you kind of just answered it. It was like a big fuck off to anything other than his kind of
Yeah.
Ghost Recon related. So, I mean, you're not a fan
A
then of
big
things
fuck
like
off.
you don't want Terminators and things like that. What
No.
about, did you like the Predator mission though in Wildlands or not so much?
Like, sure, I played the Predator mission. I fucking cried laughing at how berserk it was and hilarious. Because, it kind of scared us. He was, like, appearing and shit and killing us with the lasers and shit. So, yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It's funny. But, I mean, it's not necessary. It takes me out of the tactical kind of experience I'm looking for when I load these games up. The fact that it's even there. The fact that it's even an icon populating space pixels on my screen. I don't want to see it. It's just so like it's like yo like who I don't know like I'm sure they're making money, sure they got paid a little bit of money to have that as a as an ad, but I mean just fuck off with that shit, please.
But the Predator one was fun. The Terminator one was just dreadful. It was bad.
Yeah, what gets me though is that you have such amazing things to work with. You have such amazing established lore and just like tech and things that the ghosts have used and all this cool stuff. And it's like they seem like they need to rely on these outside sources in attempts. I don't know if it's to keep us entertained, to keep us watching, to keep us playing. It's like you don't need to do that. You don't need to try that hard. You don't need to put fucking Terminators and Transformers in our fucking Ghost Recon. You just got to give us a fucking good ass Ghost Recon game. That's all we really care about.
We've got Godzilla in Call of Duty now.
Right? We got Godzilla and Call of Duty. I did load up Call of Duty and I saw that. I exited. I was like, what is this crap? I think I shared a picture to the Discord. I was like, yo guys, check this out. Like, what is this? But I mean, like, I don't expect anything different from COD. I mean, fuck, yeah, it's COD. They can do that. Like, whatever.
Exactly. You don't expect that in Ghost Recon. So
Yeah.
this is you kind of have mentioned this, but I'm going to ask you this one anyway. So the addition of a mission planner, a mission creator in game, would you like to see something like this added?
I think I would like to see something like that added in Breakpoint's current state because I felt like something like that would have helped this game. It would have healed it, allowing players to create experiences that they're hungry for, that the game necessarily didn't fulfill. Didn't fulfill that appetite, so we can go and we can fucking like a buffet, just go out there, fucking. I want this in my level. I want this, and just pull things you want to see in your own little play session and build and craft these little fun ass moments for yourself to enjoy that aren't those copy and paste boring ass fucking missions that we've all played and got sick and tired of. So yeah, I think something like that, a mission builder, a mission creator, would have been fucking amazing for Breakpoint if they didn't quit out on the game after only 2 years. When you see, what is it, fucking. The Division 2, I think it is, or the Division 1, whatever it is. One of them is still getting updates. One of them is still getting fucking things.
Two, yeah.
Even, is it Division 2? Yeah, they're still getting big updates and shit. Like, I don't know why they quit out on Breakpoint that fast. They really are treating Breakpoint like it's like a guinea pig franchise to them. They don't necessarily know what to do with it, it feels like. So I'm hoping that, that's why we do these servers. That's why we put in these discussions and this work, because we're hoping that ultimately it can help shape and make a better game, guys. So, yeah. That's my stance on it.
Okay, so we'll do maybe two more, and then because we obviously, like I said at the beginning, there's 100 questions, and I've just picked out just a few random ones. There's a lot
and you
more.
guys better go and do these after. So after this thing's all done, you guys can finish off the survey and actually have a look at it yourself and answer these questions yourself to the fucking questionnaire. Give those responses because again, guys, it helps. So. Fucking go for it, man. We're just teasing the questionnaire here. We're just dipping into a few things. But if you're liking what you're hearing and you're liking these kind of discussions and shit, then consider filling out that questionnaire because it's extended there, guys. There's a lot more things to unpack there that you can give your response to. You're not just hearing another guy fucking talk. You can make your own fucking opinions heard by filling out those questions, guys.
100%. And what we're hoping to do is when we've got enough people filled out the survey, we're going to do an extensive video where we go through all of the results, so we will be sharing the results with everyone. I'm hoping Ghost Island will jump on to that as well, and we can go through what everyone wants. I'll be fascinated to see the kind of results that things that people want to see.
Yeah, I'm a curious cat, so
yeah, 100%.
down.
I'm intrigued to see what your answer is on this one. So, both Wildlands and Breakpoint have more than one game mode. So, for the next game, would you like to see some separate game modes like we've had before? So, for example, would you like to see a ghost mode with permadeath? Would you like to see a kind of mercenaries mode added back in, that kind of 8-player PvP VE kind of thing? The guerrilla mode, which was obviously the wave-based survival mode, I quite enjoyed that one, but it needs more maps. A cooperative mode, so maybe up to a huge number of players, like maybe 16 players or something, replaying the main story. Or maybe something else, maybe a different one that we haven't mentioned.
Yeah, so I mean, I would totally like to see some co-op modes. I mean, lately I've been talking about, if there's people here who've seen it, like I've been talking about Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter 2, and like we've been setting up matches there and stuff, and it's really fun. Like it's similar, like there's Terrorist Hunt, like from Rainbow Six, there's Terrorist Hunt, and that style is fun too. But I mean, like Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter games, they had these co-op modes up to 16 people. You can select your kit. You can work through these sandbox maps together. And there's even campaign missions within those where you had just kind of basic objectives. You got an artillery position here you need to take out. You got a pocket of civilians here you need to go and rescue. There was one where it's like there's UN soldiers literally fighting in a town, and you got to work through that town and link up with them and defend them and not let them get killed because there's an onslaught of rebel forces pushing in on them. So if they can do co-op modes with 16 players, allow them to just create their kit, whatever, show off their customization to each other, work through areas, work through objectives, and they can have different things. Where it's team deathmatch, they can have co-op. We can have a defend your fortress mode where you're defending a military base that's getting an onslaught of attackers. They can do something where it's like a beach assault or anything like that. I don't know. They can do so much. But yeah, I would cap it off at 16-player co-op is where I would cap it off. And then for PvP, I don't know, perhaps 32 players would be good. Like, I don't know, like
that makes sense. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm really intrigued to see if we even get a PvP on the next kind of PvE game.
That's what Frontline is, right?
Yeah, so you would expect with Frontline that we won't get one, but who knows? It could be random. Man. They might put one in anyway. Who knows?
Yeah, it would just be co-op, and the PvP would just be like, oh, go play a free-to-play one if you want a PvP, because, like, you know, that's monetized, and we don't care about the one that's not monetized because we care about money, you know?
Exactly. So we'll make this the last question then to round off the night. So, obviously, one good thing that Breakpoint added, especially as it went along and it added to this, was customizable world modifiers, which obviously when you switch them on and off, we were just talking about Terminators, obviously you could put them in, you could put the gas, things like that, turn off drones, that kind of thing. Would you like to see world modifiers expanded with more options in the next game? Not adding Terminators and things like that, because we know neither of us want that. But for example, you could add a modifier to add realistic injuries, for example, like blood and gore, like to have it really gory. To switch from third person to first person, things like that. Would you like to see more of these options added into the game?
Oh, 100%, 100%, yeah. I would love that. I think the more customization, the better. Like, the more you can allow people to craft a experience that they're after, I think that's a smart move. And if it can work in cohesion with, if it can work in unison with all of the other things that the game offers, then I'm all for it. Like, say there's missions that are preset, and they can work that in, then 100%, yeah. We need more options. If I want to increase blood and gore effects, if a grenade goes off, or a vehicle, I don't know, like hits me or something, or I get a round to my arm and my arm fucking tears off, or a piece of it gets a little like hit off, and all of a sudden you're down. You're not fighting, but you're kind of pinned down and you got to take cover. And then say you can bounce between other units, you can hop over to your other squad member and play as them if you're in single player. And then There's squad commands where you say, hey, I need assistance, and then you have a medic on your team, and they wrap you up while you're sitting there pinned down. And then your team, you say, I need fire on that position ahead, and then they kind of suppress enemies, and it kind of works. I think that would work. So yeah, more options the better. And yeah, we definitely need some gore, more blood effects. It's kind of laughable where it's at right now. It makes no sense where it's at. So yeah.
I think one of the
more options about it.
One of the most satisfying gaming experiences I've ever had, even though it is a dead franchise now, was in Brothers in Arms, the World War II Brothers in Arms, throwing a grenade into a bunch of enemy soldiers and watching it literally blow their legs and arms off. It was so satisfying. It never got boring. Trying to literally, 100%. As you went through, or you could literally kind of go, right, I'm going to attempt to shoot this guy's forearm off. You know, that you can 100%. Actually, it was just so much fun. I know that, sounds disturbing, but it is just fun. You know, that is the name of the game. And I know, we're supposed to be playing as a tier 1 operator who's obviously their objective wouldn't be to blow people's arms off. It would be to like double tap them, whatever. But I just think it'll be fun to add it in there. Imagine running some people over and tearing their body in half and stuff. Personally, I'd like to see it.
Oh, 100%. Like seeing guys kind of crawling like half dead, and like you can finish them off if you want to secure the kill or whatever, or confirm the kill, or I don't know, like if someone gets drastically wounded, they can't necessarily fight anymore, they're on your team, but say you got to call in a helo and they got to get picked up, and like during the fight, it's like, okay, your squad member is wounded. Okay, Ghost, you got to push up, new objective pops up. Ghost, you got to push over to that warehouse, like 600 meters to your right or southeast of your position, and then they got to slowly work their way that way while you're getting feedback, say from up above. You got Hawks in the sky and they're looking down, or a helo man circulating the area you're fighting in, and they're giving you updates like you got enemy units coming in, they'll be there in 15 seconds, you got to run, and then you got to like carry your teammate, get him to that spot, and then you get that helo who's going to come in and do a fast pickup and get your teammate out of there, and then that way you can continue on fighting. But then you actually lose that teammate, and that adds a sense of I don't want to say fear, but I mean it adds a little bit of weight in terms of like the moment that you're in. It adds weight when you lose a character, because then you're like, oh shit, I'm down a man, and like this could happen again right now. If I tell that guy to start firing, he could get shot and picked off and get wounded, and I got to do this whole thing again. So when you lose team members, whether they die indefinitely or they're just wounded and you got to get them out of there, I think it'll add some good immersion there for people. Because again, the enemy, sorry, not the enemy AI, the friendly AI right now are just these bulletproof fucking eagle eyes shooters who can just, you tell them, go find enemies, go open up, and they'll just go run after and get kills, just easy kills. They'll clean up a whole base for you. So they definitely need to rework that. Definitely.
I agree, and I think you just made an amazing point. I brought it up actually on a podcast probably about 6-7 months ago, that SOCOM, when you used to play SOCOM and you had a 4-man team, when your teammates were injured and injured badly, you could see their health continuously going down as the mission went on, to the point where they'd get shot and that was it, they were dead. And I can remember thinking that was impactful. It really actually was impactful. You're like, oh my God, they're gone. They're done. They're no more. And I don't know how you would do it as such, because, if they give you 3 teammates who you can't name, how do you get that? Because once all 3 get killed, what would they do? They'd have to be able to reset them after a certain amount of time, or you could choose how often you reset them. We talked about options, give you more options. I don't think that'll be fascinating. But in terms of the violence in the game, as we were talking about a minute ago, imagine a scenario where you've just shot an enemy in the leg and he's laying down in a field. You're sitting behind a wall. Out comes one of the other enemies trying to drag him to safety, and you get to shoot that guy too. Yeah. I mean, how much fun would that be?
Oh yeah, if they can add these features to the enemies as well, make everything unpredictable, make everything happen within the moment. Everything's reflective of the on the fly moment. The moment to moment battles, the moment to moment gameplay. If they can have things that shape that each and every time to offer unique experiences each and every time, then that was what will keep players happy and players coming back. If not, every firefight winds up being the same fucking thing, where you got fucking bald Sentinel dudes or Darth Vader clones running up at you every time you open up. In Breakpoint, every time you open up an enemy, they just run directly at you. They just come towards your position. They're slowly circle in on you every single time. Not circle, actually. I shouldn't even say that. They do not circle you. They do not flank you. They go straight towards you. And I've recorded that and I've proved it. And I mean, shit, like it goes without saying, everyone already knows this. So if they can make enemies that aren't just constantly pushing your position, even when you're engaging them at a far range, then that's appreciative. And they had that happen in previous GR games. You can get into these lengthy gun battles at a distance, and the enemies would react certain ways. I mean, of course, they never did the thing where they're pulling their teammate to cover while you're engaging them, but that would be cool, man. They can do that. That would be cool. Like, people say we want fast roping coming down helicopters. Well, what if the enemies had that? What if we mentioned earlier, said there'd be like a Spec Ops type enemy? They should be able to do that too, you know? So it's just, if they can create this rounded, visceral experience where everything's kind of working together in unison within the space that they're giving us to play in, then 100%, that would be amazing. And I would love that.
I'm just really happy that you mentioned the bad guy bald dudes, because I love it when you bring that up in your videos. It always makes me laugh.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
and again, no offense to bald people, guys. Like, I'm strictly making a joke on the fact that the character models are just copy and pasted of the Sentinel. That's all I'm making a joke about.
Yeah, there are a lot of bald guys as well on that game. To be fair, they're probably overrepresented, I think, I would say. But you know, I do appreciate you coming on and answering some of these questions, just to try to highlight the survey. The questions, I tried not to go through too many of the ones that had multiple huge amounts of answers. That's much better to be filled out on the survey by you guys out there, because obviously that's not going to be fun, me reading through tons and tons of things out to you. So try to go with the shorter ones, but the more in-depth ones I kind of skipped over. But you know, we'd love it obviously if you would go and fill these out, and we are going to be sharing the results with you. Thanks, dude, for coming on. I really do appreciate it, and I'm sure there's nobody watching this who hasn't heard of you. And if there is, tut, shame on you. Go out and check out Ghost Island Thunder. The link for his channel will be in the description below. Check him out. Really excellent content, and a really decent fella as well.
Just don't dig too deep, man. Or if you do, turn the volume down, because my old videos, the audio is just god awful. So tread lightly there.
Oh, if they've watched any of my old videos, they'll think exactly the same stuff. You know, my most popular video ever on YouTube, the one with the most amount of views I've ever had, has the worst audio I've ever done on any video, and it's like, oh, no wonder no one, you know, we didn't get many more subscribers, because it was like people were like, oh my god, what is this? It's so typical.
Be like this.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not watching it if it's like this, and it's like you just think, I don't believe it. What happened? But there you go. No, we thank you for everyone out there for listening to us. Go on. Do appreciate it, and we're hoping to be, making some more videos in future as well, and obviously have some Ghost Island back on for the results video, as I said earlier. But Ghost, thank you so much. Do really appreciate having you on.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you,
all
buddy.
the work that you do as well. You're amazing. You're a great dude to talk to and everything. I've always had fun talking to you, so thanks, man. And thank you all, guys, whoever sat through this. Thank you for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed.
Cheers, guys, and we will see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.